and Access Channel 9 from the City Hall Council Chambers. It's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is John Steiner, and this is my good friend, Carl Anderson. Kaz is actually out there trying to, I guess, earn his paycheck for City Council. They have a big meeting with the school board today.
Real important meeting.
Yeah, I think that,
Kaz earns his check every day, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Coming down here, I mean, I give Kaz a lot of credit. He's really probably one of the only council members that would actually come down here and do the show, on a regular basis. And a lot of people call in and, they want him to find this out and find that out for them. And, sometimes he gets busy and doesn't. But a lot of the times he does. But, he doesn't work in the building anymore. So, he's a good guy that, he tries to get things done.
He's a man on a mission of good service.
Yeah. Kaz, he's an independent voice. He likes to vote what his conscience and what his constituents want, which is good. That's the kind of people you need. What we're going to do is a little bit of an introduction. A lot of times Carl and I, we've been on the show and, people are like, who are these guys? Why are they on this channel?
Why us?
Yeah, why us? That's a good question. But, some of the things that, that I've been involved with, and I wrote a couple of them down, like I've done a lot of volunteers work with a lot of the neighborhood organizations throughout the city, with the different grassroots movements and stuff.
You were one of the founders of the graffiti task force, weren't you?
Yeah, right. Back in the day with Judge Carney, and Jessica Horan was on there. We started the graffiti task force together. And what I would do is actually take kids that owed community service hours from the courthouse and take them out, and we would actually be painting the bridges. So like if you've gone under the bridges over on the Bayfront there, or over on the west side by Haggerty's there, and you see, the graffiti painted over, that was probably, I had the guys out there doing it. They would call me because they knew that I had access to a lot of, volunteers, young volunteers.
That was a great program that you guys started. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
How do you think its effectiveness has been, John?
I still see that they painted over a lot of the stuff. I don't think it's as active. It disbanded. I don't know. Something happened. But I'll tell you what. There was this kid that I worked with. He was a troubled teen, and he grew up on the east side. And I would take them out and have them paint these bridges. Okay. I didn't know what effect it had on them. On them, personally. But what had happened was somebody came. We went and painted the bridge on a Saturday. Somebody came back within the next few days and re-tagged over what we painted. Okay? So this kid comes up to me and he says, Mr. Steiner, can you believe that somebody came and re-tagged over the bridge we just painted? We need to get back out there. And it dawned on me right there. He had that, it was territoriality. Right. It was something that we need to have, everybody needs to have, in order to make the community move forward.
And he took some pride in what he did.
Absolutely. This kid, he was trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if he was one of the ones tagging it in the first place. And then I made him come cover up his own tags. But the thing is, it taught him something.
Positive influence.
Absolutely.
Positive reinforcement.
Absolutely.
A lot of these kids in the inner city need that.
Absolutely. I also served with the Erie Weed and Seed. I was the chairman of the Neighborhood Revitalization Committee. Sue Moyer started it, and then she had left. And so they had asked me, Brad Folk and Steph and Dave Dieter and those guys, they asked me to be the chairman for the revitalization. And unfortunately, not too long after that, the government cut the program. It was sad. It was very sad.
There's a lot of people that have given of themselves for our community, though.
Yeah.
Really, we're fortunate in Erie. We have a lot of community activism.
Absolutely. Well, you've been involved. A lot of people don't know what you do. I know what you do because I hear about it a lot. But Why don't you...
We don't brag about it.
No, you don't brag. Actually, you kind of...
hear about it.
Yeah, bragging, we never brag. It's more like a solemn... Why don't you tell some of the people some of the things that you've been involved with so they know who you are?
Well, I appreciate that. As Kaz has said on the show, I have a business doing historical research, and am involved in a number of local projects. I've been most proud of projects that I've been involved in at 26th and State, which is now becoming a Veterans Memorial Park, place for reflection and remembrance. And it really began when I was on the Stadium Commission. I ended up being the chairman of the Stadium Commission with Mario De Palma and John Ferguson and some real great guys like that have served our community. Rupert Stadmiller, some real old time super guys. And when I became the chairman, John Ferguson was at a point where he was ready to really push for a memorial for World War II veterans. And of course, the stadium, our stadium, Veterans Memorial Stadium, is a memorial to World War I veterans from our community. And so the next step was the World War II Memorial, and that kind of gave the beginning, the seeds, if you will, to then create a Korean War Memorial, Vietnam Veterans, Purple Heart Memorial, which is now developed into a beautiful and well-maintained and honorable place at 26th and State.
Well, I'm going to blow your horn for you a little bit. I mean, I know but, whenever these groups and different, veterans groups and any other people in the community, they have a project and they need some fundraising with both the public and the private sector. I mean, they call you. I mean, and I'm not just saying if you go around and you look at pretty much every monument from Erie to Waterford, I mean, which one aren't you on? Let's start there.
Well, the George Washington Memorial in Waterford was a fantastic project that we were involved in for the 200th anniversary of the death of George Washington, which was in 1999, and the project was actually completed in about 2003. The redesign of the George Washington Memorial Park and the cleaning of the memorial. And then, of course, we have down by the library the Strong Vincent Memorial, which was a project of the Greater Erie Bicentennial Commission, and then certainly the 9/11 Memorial, which you were involved in,
right,
as well as Mark and Linda Alex and a number of other people.
Mark and Linda did a really good job.
Yeah, they really worked hard on it.
By the time when that went down, I mean, it was, there was a lot of things going on, and Mark and Linda, they worked really hard on that. I mean, it took a while to actually get it done, but, they worked hard on it, and I'm proud to be part of that committee that put that together.
Yeah.
I think that it turned out really nice. I like it.
It's a fitting memorial.
Yeah.
And we should ask the listeners out there today to call in and talk about some of the positive things that they see community servants doing. And it's not community servants as elected officials, but the people that are involved as volunteers.
I like
because
that.
They love the community.
I like that idea. I mean, anybody that whether it's your anybody in your neighborhood or anybody that's an unsung hero that none of us have really heard of, why don't you call in and give us some names and give us some information about these people?
And we'll give them some props.
Absolutely. A lot of people, they do things and nobody knows who they are, or nobody knows what they've done.
And of course, they're not looking for that.
No,
because they're servants of the community.
No, I mean, they put. It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort to do. To actually, what I've learned is a lot of people say, "I'm going to volunteer. I'm in. I'm with you. Let's do this. Let's do that." And then when it comes time to actually do the work, they're missing in action. But there are a lot of people that step forward that do the people in the like John Villa and Sue Moyer and Cindy Purvis and those guys, they're invaluable to this community.
Absolutely.
And not too many people know who they are.
Absolutely.
Oh, Lord. I didn't do that.
Did you cut off the caller?
I hope not. No, I think it's this one right here, and then that's how you hang up. Call back, please. I think that's the number. There's a number right there. Yeah, call that number. Come talk. Call talk to us.
870-1284.
I hear Carl talk enough. I don't really want to sit here and listen to him babble all day. But
Well, you're stuck with me for the next 45 minutes.
yeah. Well, Carl and I we were out with some friends the other day. Should we talk about that?
Well, I don't know. It depends on what part of the...
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Yeah, right. No, this was
you got to keep it PG, or...
Yeah, this was the PG version.
Oh, okay.
The PG part of what was going on. But, some friends of ours they work at the plant or the company down on the Bayfront. Is it Grover or what is it? Next to Sunburst.
Yes, right.
I mean, I don't know if people know, but they might know about it upstairs. I don't know. I mean, but we kind of just heard about it recently.
Right.
I mean, they probably do know. But
Snuck away quietly.
they did.
Into thy good night.
Yeah, they did. They moved a lot of their operations out of town to Mexico. And
100 jobs.
100 jobs moved to Mexico.
Right at the end of their...
Right at the end of their LERTA, they picked up their stakes and they moved to Mexico. So I said to Carl, well, if you write LERTA laws, I mean, why wouldn't you have provisions as to, what you needed to do? I mean, I don't know everything. I mean, I don't know I can't tell you what the LERTA law is right now. But obviously, it wasn't against the law for them to suck up their LERTA and then roll out of town. Well, I mean...
We've talked about that a number of years ago, that, not only... And I do believe in LERTA. I mean, I do believe we should create the incentive not only for businesses to come here, but businesses to stay here.
Right.
But then there's got to be some kind of hook to keep them here. Whether you call it a tax penalty or a incentive for them to stay, but there's got to be some kind of a penalty for leaving the minute your LERTA ends.
Yeah.
And the Bush Industries is another great example of that happening, where as soon as their LERTA ended, they moved their operations out of Erie. So they took advantage of the program. And then didn't stay here.
The sad thing about it is the way that it's set up. It's like they don't have to tell anybody because they don't want to deal with with GE. When they're announcing they're laying off so and so, they're moving. They go through a PR nightmare. It's a PR nightmare. So these companies, they're not going to call. They're not going to call. The mayor
or the economic development
Chris.
Agencies, right?
Yeah, they're not going to call Chris Mong and say, or whoever, say, hey, I got bad news. We're going to pull out of Mexico, or we're going to pull out and move to Mexico. Thanks for the LERTA, boop, and leave. They're not going to do it. So if they didn't know about it, and we didn't know about it, how could you know?
Right.
How would you know? I guess they do.
We do need to update.
Absolutely.
Update some kind of a provision at the end of the LERTA where, if they leave within a 5-year period, they have to pay 100% of the LERTA back, or within a 10-year period, they have to pay 50%. Something. We need to have public discussion about that.
Yeah, I mean, it baffled my mind that and I don't think they're the first ones to do it now.
Oh, no, they're not the first. I mean, Bush Industries was.
Yeah. I think there might have been more.
Well, there's certainly others. There's no.
Yeah, I can't remember offhand, but it's not government's fault. I mean, it's not rocket science. They're paying their guys. I think I asked. They were averaging like $15 an hour.
15 to 18, yeah.
Yeah, $15 to $18 an hour per hour, and they moved their jobs to Mexico and overseas too. Didn't he say somewhere overseas?
They have some in Vietnam.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
They pay him $2 an hour.
Well, Vietnam was less than $1.
It was less than $1. All right, so you got $15 an hour here. You got $2 an hour there. Well, as a businessman, you ever watch a Shark Tank? You ever see that show? Great show. Until the sharks that sit up there. They say, why are you doing that there? We can move it across the sea. We can move it across sea. And I get free market. I get it. It's about profit. But here's the problem.
There's another aspect to free market.
Absolutely. When a company cares more about their stockholders than they do about their employees, the people that build the company, that's the problem.
Well, even more important is the work ethic, the skill of the employees, the commitment of the people that are working in those organizations. And a lot of times these businesses find that the grass isn't greener on the other side of the ocean or the other side of the border because people don't show up when they don't feel like it. They quit jobs after a month. There's no consistency. There's nothing to keep them loyal to the company. And so, there's a real question on, accountants can sit and sharpen their pencil, but, there's a human factor involved in business that you can't equate to an accounting bottom line, and that is the efficiency, the skill, the commitment, the dedication of the worker. And certainly we all know in Erie we have that.
Yeah.
For relatives, and we all have relatives or friends, certainly, who have gone to the Carolinas or to Florida, and everybody hears the stories. We know if somebody from the north, particularly our section of the country, moves down there, they can snap up a job in a minute.
I know
because they know the work ethic.
I know you like LERTA. I hate LERTA, kind of. I do. I don't like the idea of giving free property.
We can't agree on everything.
I know. Well, of course we can. I'd rather give them free water. I mean, take the fluoride out, free water. You want to come here? I'd rather have them paying taxes. Or another thing that I thought of, I don't know if it's doable. I just think out loud. Base their LERTA tax rate on their average salaries. If you want to bring high tech, you want to bring this, you want to bring that. And they're paying, like down there, if you got $12 an hour, okay, then you pay this. This is your rate. If you're a high tech company and you pay $25, then you pay this lower rate. I mean, not only do you get the LERTA or the tax, but then people have more money to spend, and then the economy continues to rotate. Then they have more money to go here, go there, spend this on that. Right. I mean, does it make sense, or am I wrong?
Well, that does make sense to a certain point. But we've talked about many times. We've talked about on the show that elected officials don't create business. What elected officials do is create an environment for business people to create business,
right,
to create jobs. And what we can do in government is create that atmosphere to bring jobs here. And that's one of the benefits of LERTA. It tells people that we're open for business, that we want business here. And as you said, the employees come to our community, they live here, raise their children here, pay school taxes, pay property taxes, and they spend money here. And the more people we have employed, the more people that we have employed at higher level jobs, the better we all are. So there is a certain ancillary benefit to the LERTA program, not as direct from getting those specific business or property taxes, but an indirect benefit. So there is a place for LERTA. The key, I think, is we need to create that incentive at the end to stay. Some people may call it a tax penalty. I'll call it a tax incentive, a reason to stay. You either come here, you make a commitment to the community, not just to get the LERTA and leave, right, but to get the LERTA and stay. And we in the local community should be talking about what that incentive to stay or what that tax penalty is.
The companies that appear to be really successful are the ones where people have profit sharing, and they do that type of incentive for everybody, to ramp up production, and the company and the community benefits it as a whole.
Right, there's buy-in.
Yeah.
There's buy-in and there's commitment. But there was some exciting things happening down here in City Hall Thursday night. And you participated. You were in attendance at the...
Absolutely, yeah.
There was a huge meeting.
Yeah.
Some positive things happening in the community.
I'm very, a lot of people are down, and a lot of people, they're not happy with a lot of things that have happened here. But I tell you, kind of like when Obama came into office, people seem to forget the disaster that he took over from George Bush. They forget that. And it's like, how do you not remember what happened? Okay, I'm going to try to not hang up on you. What is going on here?
Maybe the phones aren't working.
All right, call right back. I'll try this one next time. That's the answer. That's hang up.
Maybe Kaz didn't teach you properly.
I know. I can't even answer the phone. Some good host we are. What were you saying now?
But exciting things happening
Thursday
night.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the unveiling of...
The long one is...
Of the...
Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, they're hanging up.
Our technical guru.
Mike, that guy...
He told you you're pressing the right button.
Did you see him on TV last night? And they said, and the production Oscar goes to Mike. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
You're talking about incentives for businesses coming in. I'm all for that. But what I'm against is businessmen that have already used incentives and keep going and going and going and getting more. We don't have new businesses coming in. I'm going to give you, for instance, we have the old Dickinson Tavern, and then we have the old place up the road. That gentleman took it over, and I don't know if they're on the tax roll or whatever, but I do believe that he is going to try for a marijuana license down there, and it's going to be a tax-exempt building. Maybe the land will be taxed, and I just don't see or buy this. You know what I'm talking about, John?
I think I know who you're talking about.
I don't want to mention his name.
Yeah.
Well, the Dixon Tavern was at one point off of the tax rolls as a museum and has been put back on the tax rolls, at least the property itself.
Yeah, that's because the city let it go to hell.
Yeah. Well, that was very unfortunate.
Well, that should have been funded through the historical grants and stuff like that.
That's right. And what really got me about that was all the artifacts in there they put up for auction, and that stuff should have all been categorized and put aside, not auctioned off. And then they give the gentleman the building for $1.
No.
And what did he make out of it?
I think law offices, aren't they?
Yeah. And the whole thing here is the city doesn't benefit. We got 45% on the nonprofit, and we, the taxpayers, are taking it right to the hilt.
Well, Carl and I, we have a lot of discussions about the nonprofits, but, and a lot of people are down on the nonprofits right now.
I'm not down on them.
No, I'm not saying you are. I mean, other people that we talk to. I'm not specifically talking about you, John. But, 20 years ago, John, when we had jobs, when we had other, revenue sources, they were looked upon as being benefits to this community. But due to the fact that manufacturing is gone and the way that the whole city is set up to begin with down at the Bayfront, all that development down there happened long before, any current elected officials had any decisions on what was going on down there.
True.
So, when Hammermill left and, GE started pulling out and Lords and American Sterilizer, when all those companies started pulling out, all the jobs left.
True. Just the waterfront down there used to be a great deal.
We can all sit here and talk about blight, crime, gun violence, You know, and the city plan that we have is really good. Some of the, I mean, Carl, jump in whenever you want. The city plan, if you watched the show before, a lot of people, you know, we've been talking about things that are in the city plan. But it's good because now we have something on paper. Okay, we have something on paper, and it seems that everybody is going to start, like I just said a little bit ago, Kaz is at the school district meeting today. Those guys, they don't talk. I call Frank Petrunga on the phone. I'm like, what's going on with you guys? We don't talk, John. What are you talking about? What do you mean you don't talk? These guys are working together finally, you know, and we have a plan. A lot of the plan is good. You know, it's a blueprint that what we all need to start working on. And I don't care if you're a city councilman, I don't care if you're a county councilman, I don't care if you're a school board member. We're all in the same boat together. We ride and die together.
That's right. Just like that $17 million for the revitalization of the area and all that. If that doesn't flow, who's going to get stuck with that bill?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to work together.
The taxpayer's going to get stuck.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean,
Carl,
we can either continue to operate separately, but there's no question we're all going to fall together, or we can work together.
These little communities that don't have police agencies, their people are screaming. They're paying $25 a year.
Yeah, for the state police.
That's the best $25 they could ever spend.
Yeah, I know. And then you get people in Mill Creek. They don't have a fire department there, and you just wait. I mean, not too long ago, they've agreed because there was a big time shortage on volunteer fire departments in Mill Creek, big time. I mean, around the country, but Mill Creek especially. So they've started a fire commission out there.
Yeah, that's a good thing. But here, they shouldn't have to go out and make all these drives and all these fairs and everything to get money. All these people that are being protected should be glad to donate or give $25, $50, $100, whatever it is.
Absolutely, I agree. But John, anybody that wants, to raise a tax, everybody's a bad person all of a sudden.
Yeah, I have to think about it. And just with the county executive down there, she's going to bring jobs. The only job she was interested in is these young kids for a couple $100 for the summer. That isn't going to cut it.
Yeah.
That takes money out of the coffers of these other people to put a few kids to work. There's all kinds of jobs out there. The trouble is with these kids that she's trying to get to work, I won't say all of them, they won't pass drug tests.
Yeah. Well, let me comment on that real quick. When I worked at Perseus House, there was this program called the Summer Earn and Learn Program. It was funded by the county. Okay, and what it was during the summertime, probation officers and Perseus House staff, we all collaborated to where kids that owed community service hours or were on probation came to work. Okay, they had to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we had multiple work sites throughout the city and throughout Erie County, actually. And these kids would come at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they'd work till 4 o'clock, just like a normal job, and they would work off their community service hours, or they would make some money for school clothes. But the most important thing out of all of that, John, was
they were learning.
They were learning a work ethic, and we were keeping them off the streets at night because they were so tired and because they got up at 7 o'clock in the morning in the summer.
I remember when I was in school, I used to go up to there was the public library then, now it's the federal court building, right, and wait and go to work in Northeast picking berries.
Yeah. A lot of people, the inner city kids get a really bad rap too. I've worked in the school districts. I've been in every school from Northeast to Northwestern. I was community-based supervisor. I was around. And I tell you, kids in the city, there's, the people in the county think there's a lot of trouble. The city has trouble.
There's troubles all over.
John, I'm going to tell you the difference between the city and the county. The difference is we do have more gun violence. I admit that. But the thing is a lot of our kids, they're in more trouble, and there's more because there's more police around. Okay? If you go out, all the drugs, I mean, if you watch the news, where's all the meth labs? I don't see too many meth labs over in the Holly. Yeah, all the meth labs are out in the county.
True.
I mean, all the drugs, Mill Creek, McDowell. If people in Mill Creek knew what was going on in McDowell and other schools in this community, they would lose their minds. Everybody,
community-wide, we have a drug problem.
There's a serious drug problem.
This younger generation, I mean, it's tragic.
Yeah,
it's really tragic to the extent of the drug problem, and it's not just simple drugs or they a lot of times they don't even know what they're taking.
I don't understand. I think it was in the news. I think it was today or yesterday. Even in Merle Wood, or what's his name? Merle Wood, the guy, the coroner guy?
Yeah, he was ex-coroner, I think.
Yeah, or not Merle Wood. Who's the new guy? I can't remember his name.
Lyle Cook.
Lyle Cook, yeah. He's saying, don't take this drug or you're going to die. It's an elephant tranquilizer. I mean, as a businessman, a drug dealer, he's a businessman. Okay, he tries to be. He tries to be. He's not going to try to kill his clients or the people that purchase from him.
He's going to try and sell more.
Yeah. So I don't think they even know what they're selling people.
Half the time, just like that, those lollipops were supposed to be laced. They didn't find anything with them.
Yeah.
So what did that young lady take?
Yeah. I mean, it's
never been brought out.
I don't understand the way synthetic drugs have taken over. And
when I was a kid growing up, the biggest drug we had was when we went over to Ripley and got beer.
Right.
That's the worst things we could have done.
Or, go drive over to Cleveland where the drinking, you had to be, 18 to get into bars?
Yeah, it was 18 over in Ripley, too.
Oh, was it? Yeah. We used to go to Skinny's, I think it was.
If you went up to the west there, you got 2.3 beer.
Oh, 2.3.
Yeah, in Ripley, you got the good stuff. Ripley and Marmar and those places.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, a lot of people, but, a good friend of ours, Matt Pliska, he died on the way back. He was, he probably was drunk and driving.
Well, Dave Mackey. No, Matt wasn't driving. He was the passenger.
Oh, he was the passenger.
Got thrown out. Got thrown out of the vehicle in an accident.
Wow.
Marmar was in a bad location.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a,
Dave Mackey, similar situation.
Yeah.
Of course, the Ripley Inn, I guess it got burned down and it's called something else now. But those were the days. So,
absolutely.
Hey, you gentlemen, have a good day.
Thank
I saw
you.
Kaz this morning for a few minutes. He came to visit.
Oh, did he?
So I signed a petition for him.
Oh, good. Yeah, Kaz is a good guy.
But, I thought, how many signatures do you need to run for county office?
For county? Which office are you talking about?
Just a councilman.
County councilman? I don't know. Carl, how many?
I heard 10.
You heard correct.
Why is it so much for the city, and when the county is bigger and involves more, you only need 10 signatures?
See, that sounds familiar, doesn't it?
It isn't amazing to think about it that way. But one reason is the county council districts are by district.
Well, the city has 6.
Well, no. The county council district is you're elected by district. If you're running for city council, you're running citywide.
Well, I've been yelling about that for years.
Well, you want to know, he tells you that, but you really want to know why? Because the county makes the election laws.
Well,
that's why.
Not sure that's the exact reason.
Well, then, you mean the city council can't repeal that?
No.
Well, they're set by the state.
And how many does the county, if you're running for county executive, how many do you need for that?
I know for sure.
250.
Yeah, I know for sure if you run for controller or executive, it's 250.
Right.
You need 250.
That's countywide.
That's countywide.
All right. But if you run for county council, you only need 10. And who has the control if they want to get control? It's county councilmen, not the exec. She can veto it, and you can always override her veto. And that's another thing I don't like. I like Mrs. Fatika running now on her own, but I did not like the way they put her in just because of her husband being a councilman.
You know, John, I kind of like Kathy Fatika. I have to be honest with you. She is.
Well, John, he said he liked
She's
her
a
too.
smart lady.
He didn't like the process, he said.
Oh, okay.
The process.
Yeah.
Right.
But she is, in fact, running on her own merit now to fill the rest of the term, and I think she'll do a wonderful job.
Well, you get 5, or what are the 9 county councilmen?
7.
Well, you get 7 of them all the time, then you'll do a wonderful job. But you got some who are just riding along on the good boat, like Flory. He ought to get out of there.
Yeah, I mean,
There should be an age limit there too.
well, it's, you know, having an incumbent, you know, having people in office for a long period of times has its good things and its bad things.
It's true, just like you got people who vote the straight ticket all the time.
Yeah, but you know, John, here's what they, you know.
Fiore has an institutional memory like nobody, though.
Oh, I'm
I mean,
sure.
He's the last original county council member under the home rule charter form of government.
Oh, really? I mean,
For almost 40 years of community service.
you know, but here's
Phenomenal.
here's the thing, John, too, though. You know, and I've talked to those guys about that. I've joked around with them, and they said, well, you know, John, that's true, but I mean, if they don't like the job we're doing, just vote us out.
But they've got a good constituency following them, and they get them in. Just like with the mayor's race now, you got so many candidates, you get somebody who gets 10% and is going to be in the primary.
Right, but county council and the county executive are now on term limits.
That's true.
So I think this would be Fiore's last term under
What is
the
it,
new
8
term
years?
limit. No, 3 terms, 12 years.
Terms now for them too?
Yeah.
Is Kyle term?
Kyle Faust would be term limited. And
Oh, really?
the county executive now has a term limit.
Oh, really?
Well, I
12
go all the
year,
way
yeah.
back to Zimick and Martin and all the good councilmen, county councilmen.
Well, you know what,
We
John?
have Irving Olds Murphy, Gary Bukowski, Joe Giles. I mean, there was some
Yeah.
long-time service from a lot of people in the community.
The councilman was Bobby Brabender. I called him Mr. McDonald because he always liked to wear that red sport jacket. Have a great day, guys.
You
Thank
too.
you. And he was a tough coach, too, and teacher.
Yeah, I've heard. I didn't go to East. He was at East, I think, right in
Yeah,
Vincent.
yeah.
But all my friends have told me, that he did. He took he took gym class very serious.
Yes, he did.
He took gym class very serious. But what were we talking about?
The Thursday meeting.
Oh, Thursday meeting.
You were
Yeah,
going to tell us
yeah.
the plans that they unveiled.
I saw.
And it was an example of the city and county beginning to work together.
Well, the county plan. I think the county plan. What's her name? The county planner
Kathy.
lady. The Kathy. She was here, and what I noticed in the audience, which was good, and what I noticed up here, was there a mix of people from city, county, Mill Creek. There were a lot of different faces that you usually don't see in here, and I thought that Chris Mong and those guys, they did was a brief overview. You can't take up everybody's all night describing what was going on, but if they went over the basics and who was going to do what, what the redevelopment authority was going to do and the city was going to do, and it's good. I mean, I really believe that there is a will, because new elections are coming up soon, and I think people realize that we might need some new people here and there, but that's to be determined. But I think there's a will to actually get this plan moving. It's going to cost a lot of money. I mean, the price tag on it is ridiculous.
But it's over a 10-year period, and it's
Absolutely.
a public-private partnership.
Right. I'm not saying anything bad about it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just a lot of money. So how do you fight that? I mean, how do you overcome that? It's not simple, but the starting point is we all have one voice. The city, the county, the school board. And so when we call down to the state, they know, they're not standing, we know that they're doing this. We know that they are shaking their heads saying, what is going on up there? They can't we've had a lot of things go on here that the state people are shaking their heads at us. But if we start working together and come with a plan, there are people down there that know about Erie. Erie is on the map, thanks to some people here. Okay? We are on the map, and people are working behind the scenes with people that we have down there that we know, combined with a plan and a one single voice. And the business community needs to work with the nonprofit community. It's going to take monumental teamwork.
Absolutely.
I think, but honestly, we've hit rock bottom, I think.
We're close to it.
It's not, Joe's did a good job. I'm not banging him at all. I think that he's done a good job. We've stayed out of Act 47. Sure, some of the things but when it comes to gun violence and crime, what real control? He has some, but it's mom and dad.
Well, it is, but it's hope and opportunity. It's creating an environment that we can educate these kids and to give these kids some hope and opportunity for a better future.
What is the only way out of poverty? What is the way out of poverty?
The true way out of poverty is education.
Okay, but here's the problem. I don't know if you've seen the news. The schools are closing. I talked to,
and it comes to and unfortunately, a lot of it comes down to finances.
Things
that have happened in the past. But I want to say, John, before we talk about that a little bit further, that I think the most encouraging thing that came out of Thursday night was cooperation.
Yeah.
Was teamwork. Was working together. Was the beginning of everybody realizing.
Yeah.
That we're all in this together, and if we don't continue to work together,
absolutely,
and cooperate and keep the line of communications open, we're all going to fall together.
Well, a lot of people out there, Carl and I have been around a lot. We've been involved in a lot of different things. We know a lot of different people, and in this community, some of the, sometimes personal agendas. I'll never name names, never. But sometimes personal agendas, they need to when anybody gets elected, what they say is your number one priority is what? To get reelected. Okay? We can't elect people with that mentality anymore. We need to elect people with a mentality of, well, okay, how does this benefit the community? When they make a decision, they need to sit there. It's Immanuel Kant's philosophy, the greatest good for the greatest amount. How does this benefit the community and make me look good at the same time?
Well, the philosophy of the Founding Fathers was community service.
Right.
You came and you served for a year or 2 years to serve your community.
Yeah.
To bring your talents and your energies to the community.
Yeah.
And then you went back to your business or your farm. That was community service. It's evolved into something completely different today than it once was, or what it was intended to be.
Right.
And that's seen particularly in the dysfunctionality of the U.S. Congress. Yeah. And their ability to even be civil to each other or get anything done.
Yeah. When it comes to the inner city stuff, and when I was a kid, and when I was working at Perseus House, or the Boys and Girls Club where I worked, I was program director there a long time ago. It was myself, Larry Meredith, David Motown Morris, His son, you know Motown.
Oh, his son's doing phenomenal this year.
Yeah, he's a leading, he's all-time Metro scorer.
All-time Metro. I mean, those are the kind of things that we need to show are happening.
And James Sherrod from the Martin Luther King Center.
And he's still the director.
We went around, I called him. Well, actually, I called Larry Meredith I'm from the Boys Club, he was from JFK. I said, Larry, let's start an inner-city basketball league. I mean, I've got kids here. I've coached them. We need to play some other places and keep these kids busy.
Larry's a great guy.
Yeah, I like Larry, and Larry's like, all right. So he calls James Sherrod, and he calls. I didn't know these guys at the time in Motown, and we sat down. We met at the JFK, and we put a league together. And I tell you, it was when we would travel to the JFK. I had to referee the basketball games, and actually, people were pretty nice. They were nice to me. They're not hostile like fans are now.
Right.
But
similar to what the Police Athletic League, the recreation of it today, and hats off to Ron DiNicola for undertaking that.
Where's that at? Where did it have? Is that Wayne?
Fight for Burley.
Fight for Burley.
Fight for Burley. Yeah.
Yeah.
And certainly all the law enforcement. I mean, we shouldn't forget about the law enforcement that are involved. The chief of police of the city, the sheriff, the county detectives, the city, the state police, law enforcement across the board is involved. The district attorney's office. They're doing a phenomenal job with the kids.
Since Facebook and social media has come in, the gap between respecting police, the police in the city mentality, has just completely deteriorated. It's somehow, some way, at some time, vigilante behavior became the norm in the inner city community. I mean, look, the police, the kid shoots, the 14-year-old kid shoots the guy in the car, okay? They show up, shot one of the Beesons. I don't know, the Beesons. I mean, so they're going to retaliate. And he tells the cop, you better find him before I do. Okay? I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a cop, but isn't that a threat? Is that a threat? Wouldn't that be considered a threat?
Well, they may, but under the circumstances, the police, they're going to try and collect as much information as they can.
What I would have did if I was a police, I mean, I'm just talking off my head, I don't know. But what I would have did, sir, that's a threat. I would have arrested him. Took him down here, right over there, sat him over there, and said, what you committed was a terroristic threat. We need to know what you saw and who did what. And
well, there certainly should have been a cool-off period. No,
and we'll drop the charges. Technically, there was going to be no charges. I mean, but he did. It's a threat. It's a threat. They could have brought him down here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a cop. I have a lot of my friends are on the force. They're up there to SWAT. I know a lot of those guys. They'll probably tell me, Steiner, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about.
A lot of these guys are the ones that are involved in the Police Athletic League, and they understand with this gap that you're talking about that there needs to be a reconnect between the children of the community and understanding that the law enforcement are here to help you. They're a benefit to society. And that having respect for them and gaining respectability, gaining their respect, is equally as important.
And as I'm sorry, were you done?
No.
Parents. And we all passed them, it's the mayor's fault. We got crime, it's the mayor's fault. We hate the police, it's the mayor's fault. Well, I got news for you, Mom and Dad. My son's 17 years old, and he doesn't watch this show because he doesn't care, and he doesn't know this. He's a good student at collegiate, but guess what? He lives in my house, so he is subject to unannounced random searches. I want to know what he's doing. I'm his parent. I love him. I don't want nothing to happen to him. If he comes home and I see signs, don't tell me you don't know what the signs are, of activity. If you come in my house smelling like weed, or, I see something, we're having a talk. Parents don't need a search warrant to search their kids' rooms. If I know my son's hanging out with kids that, are like, wait, whoa, time out. I'm going to be looking around, and I'm taking it before he kills somebody and ends up dead himself or in jail himself. But here's the thing. They're scared. Do I take that gun?
Well, they're scared, and
Do I take it and leave my son without something out there to protect himself?
Well, and a lot of kids have a feeling of hopelessness, they don't have opportunity. They feel isolated.
It all goes back to no jobs. There's no jobs. Family Dollar jobs. They're not paying the bills.
But there are jobs. I mean, there are jobs, but all the jobs that are available, you need to have the proper training for.
That's funny. I'm glad you brought that up.
And that's an important aspect of education.
We talked about that with our friend from the Clover, whatever it is. They're having a tough time finding educated people to do to do what they do.
Skilled worker.
Yeah.
They've got to have the skilled worker.
What do they need? They need the education. And what are we currently lacking in this city? What are we lacking?
Well, the biggest thing that we lack as a city our size is a community college.
But nobody wants to pay for it. We need it. Creates jobs. You need a building,
Community college is an investment in the community.
Absolutely.
It's not a cost to the community. It's an investment in the community.
Yeah.
Without question.
People, I think they're for it, but it's got to be paid for properly, and I really think that it can be done. I think that the right people are involved. I think we're making good headway. I think that
we have to continue to educate the general public about the benefits of a community college,
and I think they
certainly outweigh the cost.
Well,
certainly outweigh the cost.
You have other schools around here. Out in the county and all these other ones. Oops, sorry. They're not in the city. People can't drive by those and see those. They don't know what they exist. I don't even want to get on those guys. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
I'm 85 years old. I'm still paying school taxes, and you want me to pay for another community college school?
No, we don't.
No, that's not the way a community college, the financing is set up.
No, we don't want you to pay for it. That's just it. We don't. We shouldn't.
The money for a community college is set aside in the state budget. There's a separate budget of almost $500 million set aside under the Community College Act.
They want to open up another college, but they're talking about closing a school. That don't make sense.
It does, but it's a whole different pot of money. It's a whole. You're right. You're 100% right. But in government, there, as you probably know, there's different pots of money that are spent for this, that, or the other thing, and there's a big pot of money sitting there for a community college where you don't have to pay the bill. That's got to be.
Well, not only do we have a $10 million line item in the general budget. As a RCAP budget item to create a community college.
One quick question before you go off the air.
Yes, sir.
Who did you say on the Bayfront is closing and moving to Mexico?
Well, they haven't closed. They still have.
They're still doing something.
They still have operations here, but they've moved 100 jobs to Mexico.
Which is the start of. Well, they moved out of the building. Someone else
They moved to a different facility.
Yeah, somebody's moved. They moved. Is it Mill Creek? Was it Mill Creek?
Correct.
They moved to Mill Creek, the office people, and they're still doing. But somebody is moving in there.
That Sunburst?
Next door to Sunburst.
Now, are they paying taxes on that building?
I think their LERTA ran out. I'm not sure exactly.
The LERTA just ended at the end of last year.
No.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
The owner of that building is, don't you?
No.
Richard Rogers.
No, this isn't Sunburst.
No, not Sunburst.
No. Sunburst is Richard Rogers.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
He owns that. No, that's not the business we're talking about. This is next door.
Yeah, you're right.
Clover,
right next door.
Clover is the name of the company.
Okay, now I recall, I'm positive, he tore his house down in South Shore Drive and built a new one so he could be on Alerta. I am positive he did that. Richard Rogers. I got no use for that guy.
Okay.
I right or wrong?
Well, this isn't the company that we're talking about. This is Clover.
I know he owns Sunburst.
Yeah, no, this is Clover Industries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thanks for calling. I'm glad you called. I mean, he's an example of, how can we have a community college when we don't have, are you still there, sir?
I'm here.
Okay. How can we have a community college? We don't even have a high school. And people don't there's different pots of money. And honestly, the fact that our high schools are in major trouble makes it even more plausible that we need a community college.
It makes it even more concerning and more necessary.
Yeah.
We have to have a way to educate the inner city kids.
But the taxpayer should not have to pay for it.
Well, we shouldn't say that the taxpayers don't pay for it. Because
right.
There is an element. I don't want to make a misstatement. There is an element of a community college formula that is paid for by local taxing bodies, but it's under the plan that's being presented. It's it's not under school taxes. It's under the county umbrella, and roughly about 20% of the entire community college budget, once everything is said and done, would come. It's set up to be one-third, one-third, one-third. The local sponsoring body, which in this case, under the Empower Erie plan, is sponsored by the County of Erie, and then the student pays one-third and the state pays one-third. But what the actual financing formula, once you take into account the capital investment, which the state pays 50% of, so it's not one-third, one-third, one-third. They pay 50%. So it actually ends up being roughly about 20% of a community college comes out of the local taxing, sponsoring municipality, which in this case is the County of Erie. So it's shared countywide. It's not through a school tax. And I think that's a big thing that people misunderstand. It's not additional taxes to schools. And, we know that, young children, a lot of them that come from a broken home, we've talked about before, they don't have hope, they don't feel that they can make it to the next level. But as people grow and mature, they realize that they need to have skills or training to get a job. They want to be good citizens. They want to be participants in the community. And if they've lacked a secondary education and they have no opportunity to get to another level, then they never have hope or an opportunity to be a skilled worker or be employable. And so this fills the gap between, 26% of the youth are in poverty in the city of Erie, and the number keeps increasing. And we can talk about ways to try and have these young people get out of poverty, but and there's no guarantee of any. All of us know there's no guarantee of anything in life, and the older you get, the more you realize there is no guarantee. But the more skills you have, the more training and education you have, the more continued opportunities you have, and to open those avenues to people, to the young, at their young age, is invaluable for the rest of their life. And so that's the real benefit. I mean, we incarcerate, nobody talks about the cost to incarcerate a criminal per year, which is an astronomical $40,000 per year. What it would cost us per student, what the county's portion of the payment would be, is roughly about $3,000 or $4,000. So for every 10 kids that we're educating, we're taking the cost of one person out of incarceration.
What you do is when I worked at Percy, our motto, 1 minute, catch it low to prevent it high. The whole, I think I am a product of a community college, and I talked to Carl about this myself. In high school, my grades, they weren't good. I mean, I lost interest, and I was in summer school a lot.
But you're a perfect example of somebody who doesn't have that hope, or maybe doesn't have that background. You're the first person in your family to graduate from college. I was the first person in my family to graduate from college.
I had a single mother. I grew up on the Lower East Side part of town, and I went to St. Pat's. I did well in prep, and then I went to Tech, and my grades just went whoop.
Well, because you started losing hope of what are you going to be able to achieve at the next step.
I thought, as the rest of my family did, that I would get a job at Hammermill.
Right.
We all did. We all worked. My whole family, everybody worked at Hammermill. But Hammermill's gone now. I'm glad. Mercier started this 2-year program. It was called MCCI, Milk Creek or Mercyhurst Community College Initiative.
Yeah, something similar to that, right?
I went to that. Hold on 1 second, caller, please. I went to that program for 2 years and realized, I can handle college. I enjoy this. And so what that did was that encouraged me to enroll at Gannon and get my 4-year degree.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, listening to you fellows. You brought up something to me that I wondered about. When we get these students graduating from Gannon, Mercyhurst, Penn State, and all them, is there ever an effort for the city or even the county to set up, say, a booth where they can see what kind of job opportunities within the school, these facilities, places that they could maybe apply for? I know somebody they all go to school to get their degree, but they come out, and like myself, I didn't know where to go looking for a job. I had to kind of figure it out myself and go here or there. But if there's somebody, they do set up a information booth, but we need to have somebody say, well, we have need for people in accounting in this department. Would you be interested?
Yeah, they do have Mercyhurst and Gannon both have big job fairs in the spring. Yeah. And then, of course, through internship opportunities, a lot of the students then enter into the workforce through those internship opportunities.
And Dr. Faust, Kyle runs those up.
Kyle Faust at Mercyhurst.
Yeah, they're huge. They have them at the universities, but who's there? What businesses have booths there?
Well, I can't say that the county or the city does have them. That's a good question that the caller asked, and we certainly should have those. But the local banks, insurance companies, the hospitals, they certainly all have booths there.
Yeah. Because we talk about the brain drain from our city when kids go to school here and leave, and we wonder how is our city going to go anywhere without the educated students that we put out being there to help us move forward. Even say businesses that can set up some of these young people into maybe open up like satellite businesses.
Well, one thing, that's when you said that, I thought the same way that you did. But I think recently there was a study done that said recently there are a lot more college graduates staying here.
Right.
And the key, I'll tell you what I think the key to that is, are internships. Most jobs that you get are through an internship because, they see how you work, they know your personality, they know you're on time, they know you're qualified. That's how I got my jobs. I did internships.
The biggest thing that attracts young people and attracts young families is cultural opportunity, vibrancy.
Which is in the city.
Activity.
Which is in the city.
Right.
And people seem to forget the important... People that live in Mill Creek and Fairview that don't hear gunshots outside of their house, they seem sometimes forget, we're in our little fiefdoms and you guys are in the city and, we don't care. But we are so connected as far as progress and
We're
success.
interconnected.
People better
Without
get rid.
question.
The city versus county. We have the city versus county all-star game, baseball, city versus county save an eye. It's embedded in our brains.
Well, we need to get over it.
Yeah, we do.
We need to
Thanks for
work together.
calling, caller.
Thank you, caller.
Hopefully we can get our city moving again, particularly with the upcoming elections.
Well, pay attention to educate yourself on the candidates.
We got a candidate.
That'll be key. That'll be key.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of candidates out there.
There's a lot.
I'm listening to the various ones to see what they have to say, and I think Joe, for the city particularly, has somewhat highlighted some of the things he'd like to see the city continue to improve upon.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to what they are and how these candidates look upon those as possible projects for themselves to work with.
Yeah, well, thank you for that.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Hey, you guys have a great week. Hey, have a happy Easter too to you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you,
appreciate
you too.
the call. Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Hey, I want to tell you something funny before we get off the air. I know we're probably cut, but the Republican, Al Zimmer, you know the guy with the beard?
Long beard.
Running for mayor. He has a headquarters on State Street. But there's kind of it's outside. He's outside. I wrote down here, him and I think it's his wife. They're outside like holding up signs. I love it. I'm serious. I love it.
Well, you got to give them for resilience. That's for sure.
All the candidates, the mayoral candidates, I mean, all the city council candidates, they're coming out of the woodwork. And that's good. It's good. But the people out there need to start educating on what these candidates are going to do. What have they done? What have they got to offer to make sure we move the plan forward? Anybody, if any of these candidates, if they're not talking about the plan, then I'm not voting for them. This is the plan. The plan, we could have wrote a lot of the plan, but there's some things that, I didn't think about, a lot of people didn't think about that are in the plan. So we have it in writing.
Well, now we got to stick to the plan.
In the real world, you have goals, you have outcomes. Goals, objectives, and outcomes. Okay, that's what we need. Short-term goals, long-term goals. And actually, I think we're out of time.
John Steiner.
Carl,
Good to be with
Anderson, my friend, thank you. Thanks for listening, and hopefully Kaz will be back next week. Hopefully, we might be back, and we'll continue the conversation, and hopefully you guys were semi-enjoyed our conversation today, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks. Where's that song? This song, I love this. This song was Mario.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9.